welcome back, 5011 fam.
Brr, 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 brr.
Yes, sound effect. It is Jay and D here, and we're here with another set of hot takes. Of course, this is the 5011 Chronicles.
Yeah.
Um, and for those who are tuning in for the first time and don't know what we do, well, here, let me tell you, darling. What we do here at the 5011 Chronicles is we discuss everything from politics to pop culture. We represent 5011 voices, we detail 5011 experiences, and we have and continue 5011 conversations. So, welcome back to the 5011 Chronicles. Ah, how are you
Yes,
doing, D?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. We
Hanging in
almost at the
there.
end.
We're almost at the end.
Woo.
Like, this is the
We made
last
it, which is
week.
a blessing. We made it
Uh,
this far.
we made it this
Thank
far,
the Lord.
right? You know? So this episode is our year in review. That is the name of this episode. That's what this episode really is going to be about. And, we're really going to talk about what our personal experiences were like. Going through this year, 2020 has taught a lot of the world a lot of lessons, like,
Yes.
and whether they have been professional, whether they've been personal, um, relationship wise, or anything. I think we've all learned a lot of things, and Dee and I are going to share some of the things that we learned this year, and even like how the year kind of transpired, how it all played out for us, and what
Hmm.
we did in during the mass
Yes.
shutdown. But we're also going to talk about, like, there were a lot of things in pop culture, in the political realm. A lot of things happened. A lot of people got canceled. People had good years. People had bad years. I
Hmm.
mean, there's a lot of things we're going to touch on. So this is going to be a fun episode. Who knows how long it's going to be, because we're just going to go. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to the final episode of this year for the 50 Lamb Chronicles. So, yes, season one is a
Weird.
wrap. So, welcome back to the 50 Lamb Chronicles. And like I said, this episode is just like our year in review. And so, Dee, do you want to kick it off? Do you want to start, or do you want me to start with, like, where you were when the whole pandemic, or like, even not even the pandemic, before we even get into that, like, 2020 started off as an
Hmm.
interesting year. So,
Yeah.
like, how did your year start?
So my 2020 started off pretty decent. I was in a much better headspace than I was in 2019. I was going through postpartum depression, so it
Mm.
kind of started to wane around the start of 2020. Um, so I was actually doing better. I did have a little snafu, spent a little 24 hours in the chain gang, but it wasn't that deep though. But and that was a blessed situation because that happened like right before stuff shut down. Thank God I didn't get stuck in there. But yeah, and then maybe a week after that was when everything started to crumble
Yeah,
in the outside world, Everything
yeah.
we knew as our regular lives changed forever.
You know, for me, when 2020 started, I was much like you. I was in a really great headspace,
Hmm.
or I won't say really great, because, as I've shared with you, and I think I've said it here on the show before, but I have those moments where I have really, my anxiety might get high, or I might be in a depressive state, or I might just be
Hmm.
fine. So, sometimes I have those moments where my emotional state is a little here, a little there. And the
Yeah.
year started off, I was in a pretty good space. I was like,
Hmm.
I'm going to manifest some things this year. I'm going to, like, be on it. This is
Hmm.
going to be the year. And I remember part of my manifest, like, my affirmation was, 2020. And it's so crazy because the way that things turn out, this affirmation was true. I could have
Hmm.
been a little bit more specific. But my affirmation was, is 2020 is going to be the year everything changes. And I
Yeah.
just kept saying that. And that was the specific language that
Well,
came
it
to me.
was.
And it really was. But, I was thinking in a different sense, but it's
Yeah.
so interesting how that was the language that came to me, was 2020 is going to be the year everything changes. Like, this will be the kickoff of a new decade. This is going to be a year. I was like, this is going to be an unforgettable year. Like, this is going to be, and I was just speaking all these things into the year, believing that I was speaking them in maybe a positive sense, more optimistic. They
Hmm.
did turn out to be fairly true, and a little bit not as optimistic or upbeat as I expected, but I found that quite interesting.
Yeah.
But also at the beginning of this year, as I was getting into this better headspace, I was really setting up some goals, and I was getting pretty serious about some goals that I had for the year. And so, I was really at a point where I was kind of showing out in my job, like things
Hmm.
were going well. And, I was really building a lot of things, a lot of creative, I had a lot of creative outlets I was able to pour into and to
Hmm.
explore some opportunities there. And it was like, when everything, I remember being at work and everything getting ready to shut down. And prior to everything shutting down, the year just had this feel. It had this feel like, this is gonna be a game changer. And
Hmm.
I remember the first thing that really changed before the pandemic was the impact of losing Kobe Bryant.
Hmm.
Like, that was, and I've never been a big sports fan, but even to
I
me, like,
was.
as I know you,
Hmm.
like, I mean, and I want you to share your perspective too
Yeah.
on that. But for me, like, as a Black man, I was like, whoa, like, he's been a huge role model. Like, that's the
Hmm.
one thing that I can say, is like, he has been a positive, role. Now, he's had
Absolutely.
everybody's always had, moments in their career, but he has been someone who's been an exceptional athlete. He's been a
Hmm.
great role model. He's done things for the people, for the community, like, and it was truly, like, crazy for someone who's not a sports fan.
Yeah.
Now, share, what was your, like, as someone who's a serious
Hmm.
sports fan, like, what was that like?
So I think for me, the thing that I love the most about Kobe, because I remember in the beginning of Kobe's career, like, if, at least from as far as back as I can remember, I'm going off of my age and what I can remember, and that was when it
Hmm.
was Kobe and Shaq on the Lakers, and I remember like
Hmm.
there being so much hype around Kobe, and Kobe had
Right.
like just got in the league, and I remember like thinking like, because he had kind of started to really be feeling himself, and I remember thinking like, bro, like, yo, you just got here, like. Shaq's the MVPs. Like, calm down. I remember thinking like I was not seeing it for him in the beginning because he was
Hmm.
so like he knew he was great, which is cool, but it's like, it comes across a certain way. And so I remember just loving seeing his growth, like becoming a team player, you know what I'm saying? Becoming somebody that the players look up to on and off the court, somebody that they can go to. Just seeing his growth and him maturing into himself as a man was so dope. Seeing what he was doing off the court was so dope. And I feel like he was just starting to come into his own once because he just got out the league. He hadn't even been out the league that long before he passed away.
Right.
And that's the crazy part about it. We didn't even really get to
Hmm.
see what he was going to
What
be
he was
able
about
to do,
to do. Yeah.
you
Hmm.
know?
And,
And I
and from
love
my
the fact
understanding, he had
that,
like big plans.
yeah, he did. And I just love the fact that to see a Black man grow so positively. And it's
Hmm.
like, of course, nobody is perfect, but that man really got his life together and really got himself together and really stepped his game up. And like,
Hmm.
he deserves to be called a Black king. Like, he owned that
Absolutely.
title.
Absolutely.
He's the
And
mamba.
it's just so tragic to have lost not only him but his
Hmm.
daughter, who was a she
Yeah.
was this prodigy. Like, she was about to be the next big thing,
I couldn't
from
even
how.
watch the stuff. Like, I didn't watch any of that stuff. Like, I couldn't do it. I could
Yeah,
not.
I
I couldn't.
remember this year has also been the year for me where I've gotten onto Twitter. And I've never been like a big, like, Twitter watcher or like user, and that's never been my thing. But this year, I just remember when I was working, I was like, this is the easiest way to get like information just at a quicker rate,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to see what's going on in the world from a lot of different places. So I was just following a lot of different sources to get information. And I just remember that day, just all of the whole just like line just being flooded, just all of the all of Twitter was
Yeah.
flooded with everything going on. And I was like, I just couldn't be on it. I couldn't be on social media
That's
because
one of them
it was
ones that hit you out of
heartbreaking.
nowhere. You don't see that coming.
And
Kobe?
there were so many people. I think, what was it? I want to say 9 total, but I'm not 1,000% sure. But there were a lot of people who lost their lives that day, and it's just so sad and
Mm-hmm.
tragic. And that was, I think, for me, when I was in that super positive, upbeat headspace, a moment when it was like, okay, hang on, there's still reality. Like there's still
Mm-hmm.
some there, when there's good, there has to be something to balance.
Because
There
Kobe,
always
when
has to be
Kobe happened, it
balance.
was kind of like when Prince happened. It just happened out of nowhere,
It
and you
was just
didn't
out
see
of
it coming, and it was
nowhere.
just
You didn't see it
random.
coming. Everybody was like,
It was
what?
just
Like,
random.
and it was, we were just hoping that something was okay. We were hoping for anything, that it wasn't
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
But that was terrifying, and it just really tragic.
Very.
And I remember, which was why I brought up the Twitter thing. I remember when COVID started to happen. I can honestly say, back in January,
Mm-hmm.
I'd watched a video on YouTube. I watch Lovely T. For those of you who know who Lovely T is, she is hilarious. She's extremely informative. She is a Black queen. She's on YouTube, and she does commentary videos, and she breaks down different topics. And I've been watching her, I want to say, for like a year or two at this point, at that point. And I was watching, and she had this video about what was going on in China and how they were locking the streets and locking people in
Mm-hmm.
their apartments, and all this craziness, and the people who were dying and the animals they were having to kill. And it was just, I was like, oh, this is something to watch, because this is interesting. Like, nobody's
Yeah.
talking about this. Like, nobody in the US is talking about this. And
Mm-hmm.
and she had like a source who was giving her this information, who was in China at the time, and they were
Mm.
American, and they were like having to, completely disguise every bit of themselves, and, cover their voice and blur everything, to where you were able to understand what they're saying, but not able to, tell who they were. And they were spilling all the tea. And so I just remember in January saying to some of my coworkers, like, "Ooh, y'all, I done heard about this thing going on in China, and y'all just need to be on the lookout, because it
Mm.
seems like it's going to be something."
Yeah.
But when it became what it became,
Whew.
and we got where we got, and we are where we are, you know, wow, like, I never would have ever guessed that we'd be in a position where you see people and you're in spaces where everybody has masks on. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally like it's crazy because to Alori, it's just normal life.
right, because
Like she
right,
literally, when
exactly.
we pull up, literally when we pull into the parking space, she goes, mask on. Like this is regular life to her. She doesn't know life outside of
Outside of
Corona life.
masks. That's, which is crazy. I
Because she doesn't
mean,
remember her first, because literally it happened like 2 weeks after her first birthday. Like who remembers the first year of their life?
mhm.
So from what she can
Wow.
remember,
I
it's
never thought
COVID.
about it like that, but that is
Mhm.
so crazy. That will be like her first real memory, will be of COVID. Like, as
Mhm.
she gets older, she'll
Yeah.
always remember this. That's interesting. Um, and I even think about like my nephew who's 4. This will be, he'll definitely remember this stage of his life, because he knows to have the masks, like,
Mhm.
and it's interesting. But I remember being at work, and my job finally deciding it was time for us to, close the doors and disinfect everything and just shut it down. Like, just shut it down, and we'll let y'all know what's what, and
Yeah.
y'all need to go home. And when that moment came, I was like, oh shit, this is real. Like, this is real, real. Like, I remember it was coming up on, all of, and I was watching it when it came to the point when the first case was in the US. I started actively watching it on Twitter and on the news when I would come home, just to see, like, okay, how is this thing, like, is this a super spreader type of thing, or like, what is this thing looking like? and
Mhm.
to see how it was developing and how I was like, oh dear God, this is it. Like we're done for. Like, I was thinking this was some type of, horror movie, apocalyptic type of
Yeah.
thing. And to a certain degree it is. But at the same time, I just remember when they sent us home, like not knowing if we were going back or when we were going back.
Mhm.
So like with you, were you already working from home or did that happen post pandemic?
That happened post pandemic. I was working the
Okay.
same place where you're working now.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
And
Yes.
it was funny because so I remember when the cases first hit Atlanta, and I had just so happened to had just been taking somebody to the hospital because they had got into a car accident. And so I
Mm.
remember thinking like, bro, I just seen they said COVID came here. I should go. Like, and I left. I was like, I'm gonna come back because they had already started to like everybody. They had the mask at the front. They had already because we were at Northside, and that's in
Mhm.
Atlanta, and
Right.
so that's where like they wasn't playing. And I think it was like you could only bring like one or two people up or something weird like that. But I
Hmm.
wasn't trying to go up anyway. I'm just thinking like I should go. It might be COVID in here. Like y'all call me when y'all ready. So
Oh my
I bounced.
goodness.
But I remember being at work and like I remember being at work those last couple of days like, bro, y'all are dragging this out. Like just let it go. Let it go. Just call it, man. Just call it.
Right.
When I
And
was
that's
seeing
my
those
thing.
big stores like shut down,
Hmm.
because I'm in like a
Hmm.
pretty, popular mall. So,
Exactly.
and I'm like, bro, just call it. Just let it let it go. Stop. Cause now y'all spending more money doing this. Like I'm standing here not doing nothing.
I
Like this is
mean,
crazy.
the managers at the other places around us were coming into our store and asking me like, "What are
Mhm.
y'all gonna do?"
Mhm.
And the store manager I had at the time was looking at me like, "What we gonna do?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"You're asking the wrong person." Because I'm waiting for y'all to call it. Like, we need to call this because this is not safe. And it was just getting to a point where like I was like, this is not safe for any of us. Because
Mhm.
especially where here in Alabama, like it's just people Americans are conditioned to do what they want to do, however they want to do, when they
Entitled.
want to do it. We're extremely entitled people. It's the truth. It's the truth of the matter.
Mhm.
And for me being in Alabama, it's so different in the South. Like Southern entitlement to me is a whole different level. I don't know what it
Oh
is
yeah.
about people in the South and the audacity that some of my fellow Southerners have to say the things that they say in public. Because even
Listen.
when this virus was starting, I will not forget. I was cleaning handles, door handles, and stuff like that at the job, and we were getting ready to lock up the doors the day we were closing. I remember it was the day we were closing, and I was cleaning the door handles on the outside of the door and the inside of the entrance. And a man walks by, and it's a brother. He's walking past, and he said, "Yo, my nigga, like you ain't even got to worry about it, cause this whole virus thing ain't real. Like it ain't even real. We immune. We immune. You ain't got nothing to worry about." And I looked at him, and I will not forget. I wish y'all could see the look I'm about to give D, but I looked at him, and I was like, and I was like, really? I said, look, I have a job to do. So if you don't
Right.
have anything else, if you don't have anything more important to tell me right now, I'm going to clean these door handles and lock this place up because we shut down.
Very that.
It might not be real, but we're shutting down. So
Listen. And people with
peace.
the it ain't real thing, I was like, listen, something happening because people dying.
Mm-hmm.
So I
People,
don't care
right?
if it's COVID, Ebola, or some unnamed
Whatever it is,
something they
there's
experimenting with. I
like,
don't want
how
to
do
be
they
a part
explain the
of it.
deaths
So I'm
otherwise?
not
That's
going
that's
out there.
ridiculous. Mm-mm.
You still want
I
to
mean,
go?
even
This is
now,
why there
like
would be a zombie apocalypse. This is why, because ain't nobody gonna sit inside. Everybody want to think they immune. Everybody want to think it ain't real. And it's like
just that
it's
they're
something.
invincible.
The fact that something is killing people should make you want to be at home. And the fact that
Come on now.
you think they keep it a secret should make you want to be at home even more. Like,
Even more.
are you kidding me?
Exactly. No, exactly. It even blows my mind now when I go out in public and like I might run to the gas station or, to the store or something really quick and I put my mask on and I walk inside and there's so many people still without a mask. And I'm like, it has been a year of this and none of y'all have gotten the clue yet. Like y'all think it just disappeared or y'all just still don't care. Like,
Hello, I'm at Don't Wear a Mask Central in Atlanta where we never shut down.
oh right. Never shut down in Atlanta. Atlanta
Never.
so child
People still
the
come in here.
ghetto.
Go home.
Look.
Why are you coming here? Go home.
Oh my goodness. A mess. But what I will say, is even with everything that has gone on in the year, and we're definitely going to dive more into it. But one thing I really want us to dive into that I think is important, to talk about is or are the things that we learned or even unlearned
Mm,
during the pandemic. And I'll say I'll kick this off because I got to do a lot of self reflection and just have a
mm,
ton of me time. I
yes.
had a lot of me time and it was so nice. I did spend some time with my mom and like my family, and there were a lot of like moments where it was just us. We never had like big gatherings. We still don't do big gatherings, but I was able to spend a little time with a few people. But what I love the most about it is, and I can say this is one thing about me that has grown, is I used to have to be around other people to enjoy myself. Um, and I thought it was a good thing because it's like I'm outgoing and I'm just the social butterfly and I'm out there and I just love being around people. And I had a hard time being by myself. And it took a couple years and it took, what did I call her? Sharkeisha. It took some situations and some things for me to get to a point where I can enjoy time by myself. And
Mhm.
when I tell you the time by myself, I learned so much about myself. I caught onto this. There was a creative wave in the space. It was like a cloud over the creatives in the world. And I tapped into that thing and I was writing, I was sketching. I had so much pouring out of me. And I, as much as a lot of people hated being stuck at home, I loved it. We were
Mhm.
gardening, we were baking and
Yes,
cooking,
come
and we
on,
were just
garden.
doing,
Yes,
we were
Mother
doing
Goose.
all of it.
Yes.
Like, right. Turned into whole Mother Goose. And it was like everything, start to finish. We're putting the seeds into the ground. We're like all of it. And I got to
Mm,
really focus on, I guess I can spill the tea some now. I got to really focus on even building my own cosmetic brand. And I got to, work on the things that are getting me to where I want to be. And
yeah.
for me, I was able to take advantage of the time and be in a space with myself where I got to really dedicate to healing
Mhm.
some hurt and learning some new habits and unlearning some bad ones and just really like getting on a track of like, okay, I better understand myself. These are the things I know about myself. I was, you
Absolutely.
know, podcasting and reading and just note taking and journaling, all of it, all of it. I was like, I need to know myself better
Yes.
because if I'm stuck here in the house, I'm going to make the best of it.
Come on now.
And I feel like I did.
Yes. So for me, it was consistent of some of the same things, just kind of growing and learning. Like I said, I did go through the year prior through postpartum depression, so it was kind of just getting out of that, and then dealing with those things that haven't been dealt with that need to be dealt with because I have a kid. I can't be passing all my mess down to her. That ain't the tea. That
Right.
ain't. Mm-mm. My
At
child
all.
is not about to be paying for my sins and all my
Come
increments.
on now.
So, it was very much consisted of a lot of introspection. Just a lot
Mm,
of understanding myself, understanding I've why things have gone for me the way they've gone. Because a lot of times, like, we put ourselves in a victim role. But for me, a lot of 2020 was about accountability. Because at the end of the
mm,
day, like, I can say, like, oh, this person did this to me, but I allowed this person around me. And what would make that person feel comfortable enough around me to do whatever they did to me? You know what I mean? Why am I
right.
allowing people in my space that don't respect me? and then I had to see, okay, I'm dealing with people who don't respect themselves. Okay, why would I allow myself to do that? Maybe I don't respect
Mhm.
myself enough. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Accountability.
Mhm.
A lot of the times, a, a lot of the times, stuff we see in people that we don't like about them is kind of a reflection of our shadow selves. And I think I was kind of in like a
Yes.
karmic cycle in the moment. And so I just had to take accountability for not, loving on myself enough, not caring for myself enough, not taking care of myself enough, and dealing with certain hurts and pains and just pushing stuff aside. Because prior to the quarantine, me, I just be working. Like I'd be
Mhm.
from one job to the next. I'd be going. Like literally that was me. Like I would go to work. As soon as I get off work, I'm turning on my Uber app and I'm driving around all
Mhm.
freaking night. Like I'm
Go,
work,
go,
work,
go.
work, go. That's
Mhm.
been me for the past, oh geez, since I've been in Atlanta. Honestly, from the moment I moved here, it's been that. And if I didn't have multiple jobs, I was 6 days a week at one. So it's
Mhm.
like this is the first time in years that I've gotten to just stop,
Mhm.
just like one moment to just stop, slow down, and sit down for just a moment. And it's the biggest blessing that I've ever gotten because I was going so fast and I was moving so much. I wasn't taking time to deal with nothing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I was just going to keep being on that hamster wheel. And that's how we end up on that hamster wheel because we got to keep going. If we
Mhm.
stop, the
Absolutely.
hamster wheel going to stop. We have a
Mhm.
choice but to stop this time. And it was kind of a blessing, and I'm blessed enough to, yes, I would do work from home now. Like I was able to get a job because I could not be
Amen.
working for too long. I just couldn't do. Like I
Mhm.
stopped now, but whew, geez, beats. And so, but it's been a blessing because everybody hasn't been that blessed throughout this pandemic. But for me, it was a much, much, much needed pause button that I fully
Mhm.
intended to take. Like from the moment I knew it was happening, I said, I'm taking advantage of this. Like
Yes.
I am taking advantage of this because I'm getting a moment to just stop, and there's a shift happening. There's a shift that's happening, and I'm glad that I was blessed enough to be able to notice it and see it,
Mhm.
take advantage of
Yes.
it.
And that's what it is. That's what I was calling the creative cloud. It was this space.
Mhm.
There was a moment where it was like, okay, things are changing. There is an opportunity for those who are willing to take advantage of it. If you can
Mhm.
see this change, if you can recognize this change, and if you can tap into it, it's
And
yours.
align
But
yourself. You have
you
to
have
align
to be
yourself
willing to
too.
align. Exactly. You have to
Yep.
align and be willing to do the work. And I think
Mhm.
that was what was brilliant is I just found myself, and even Aisha, we were both talking about it because I think she came and spent some time with me. But we just like we were talking about being on that wave and just being in this space where it was
Mhm.
there were things that were getting done. Um
Mhm.
yes, I loved it. And for me it was even like cuz I know when it first kicked off I was like, okay, I don't know what this is going to look like. Like I'm worried about job security. I'm worried about, what's going to
Mhm.
be what, and like when are we going back, and is it going to be safe, and what does this mean, and then like when I was just, it was a lot of questions.
Mhm.
And it got to a point where I allowed myself to stop worrying. Cause I want to say it took me like maybe a good week. I caught up on sleep and I
Mhm.
became a human
Mhm.
being again. And I was
Right.
no longer tapped into I was
The
no longer in the
Matrix.
matrix. I was no longer
Cuz
tapped into
it
the
really
matrix.
is that,
It
man.
really feels like that. And I had been tapped out of the matrix and I was finally human again. It was rested and had eaten really well. Cause I mean, like, it was right. This was right around the time of my birthday, too. So this was like, I want to say 2 weeks or a week and a half, maybe before my birthday. And so we were just like eating, like we were eating pretty good. Like my mom was cooking or my stepdad was cooking or I was cooking, but somebody was cooking every day and we were eating and we were gardening and we were just doing the thing. And it got to a space where I was, instead of even worrying about when I was going back to work, I was like, I am at work. I'm working
Mhm.
right now. Like this is work. I'm clocked in and right now I'm doing the work to get Jay where
Yes.
he needs to be and I'm doing the work to tap into this frequency. I'm just doing what needs to be
Mhm.
done. Um it was just, it was great. It was great. I'm glad that
And
we were both able to recognize it.
the thing is, our generation we define ourselves by what we do.
Mm.
And so for us, if we're not doing anything, we don't feel like we are anybody because we don't feel like we're contributing anything. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We place our value and our worth on what are you doing? One of the
This is
first
very
things
true.
people will ask you is, what do you do?
What
You
do you
know what I
do?
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about who you are. It's about what do you do. And we put so much pressure on ourselves about what we do. And when you can't do nothing, then who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Then who are you?
Absolutely.
And this
Absolutely.
was really that. And instead of being one of those people that just complained about it being a pandemic, take advantage of it. Learn something. Learn about you. Learn something new. Anything. But you should be able to look back on it and say, I changed this. I learned this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better
What
because this.
What would you say was your biggest lesson, or your biggest epiphany, even that you had during the pandemic isolation? The big, and we're just really referring to the major shutdown.
Hmm.
Um, when we say like the for me it was 7 weeks that I did not go to work, and that was just the nicest 7 weeks. But what did you learn during that space of time? Before you were working from home, or when you were just able to really sit with yourself and do that work, like what was one of the big things that you took away?
Well, first I realized how much I was going because I realized how hard it was for me to sit down. Um, I was practically basically living in my car. Like I was changing clothes and off to the next, and I came home to shower, sleep, repeat. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
it. So it definitely showed me how much I was burning myself out and not taking care of myself. And it for the whole thing, it really placed on me the importance of self care, and not in like a narcissistic way, but more so in like a you have to make sure that you're okay because you can't be given to other people and you barely got enough for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You barely didn't gave yourself
Absolutely.
anything. You know what I mean? And a lot of times the way we react in situations or the type of people we surround ourselves with is our subconscious screaming at us like, hey, all this you doing for this person, I'm showing you this because this is what I need. And
Mm-hmm.
you're not giving it to me. And you're wondering why you're in these situations feeling this way. And it's because I'm asking you for something and I'm not getting it.
Exactly.
So this was a good, I ain't gonna lie, this was good for me. I needed this. I really did. I needed this
I
break.
completely agree. I completely agree. Because I think for me, it taught me several things. But one thing that kind of aligns with what you're saying, almost piggybacking off of what you're saying, is that for me, I had to take a moment to stop and not just be able to do the work and to kind of appreciate how far I'd come, but even to just stop and see the inner workings of my own mind, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, even allow myself to not be so constricted. Because one thing that I can say about myself, I can admit, because I'm growing, um, I can admit about myself, I have an issue with control. I
Hmm.
like to control everything. If I can help it, I want to control the project from the beginning to the end. I want to, like, I know that I can delegate, but I would rather not. Like, I have a bit of an issue with control. And this is when you put a control freak in a situation where everything is outside of their control,
Hmm.
like, a global pandemic, then you really have to sit with yourself and allow that energy that was devoted to being a control freak to do what it was actually supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
And for me, that was again creating. And so it allowed me to stop like trying to control everything
Yeah.
and allow some things to happen and allow some things to just pour out. I was able to create like a theme song for somebody's YouTube. And that was kind of cool because the lyrics just came to me. It wasn't one of those moments where I had to sit down and just like, okay, what do I want to write? But it was just like, I was like, I'm going to write this song. And then the words just came. And so
Yeah.
it was, I allowed myself to be in that space. So that was like, for me, a big thing is not, it is giving away control, like submitting to the higher energy in situations like that, because it knows better. Like,
Right.
it knows better.
Very that.
So anything else that you can think of that you learned, or like some big, like, I would say more mental or emotional takeaways from 2020, like even leading up to this point?
Oh man, there's so many. Because really I have took this time to really just be real with myself so that I can do like some real growth. And when
Hmm.
you be real with yourself, you ain't the victim in all the situations, and it's not about pointing a finger and figuring out who did what to
Absolutely,
you. It's
yes.
figuring out how the heck did I even get in this situation
How
to
did I
begin
get here?
with.
How
How
did I
did
get
I get
here?
here?
Like, I'm sorry to interject, but I just remember, what was I? Oh, everybody who knows me personally knows I'm a big fan of Iyanla Vanzant, and I know I've
Hmm.
probably said it on the podcast before, but I listened to one of her speeches that she gave at a Black Business Expo, and she was even talking about when you have that epiphany in that moment where you really sit with yourself and you're like, hang the hell on, like, what is going on in
Right.
my life right
Like,
now? Like,
why am I
who
here?
are you? Like, where
Why
did
is
you
all this
come
happening?
from? How did you get here? Like, what is going on? And
Yeah.
I think as we're getting older, it's beautiful that we're actually having those moments where we're
Hmm.
stopping and saying that, because I look at, I feel blessed to be able to mentor other people now. And I look at some of the people I'm mentoring and just some of the things that they're going through. And I'm like, dang, I remember when I was that, like, I remember when that was my reaction. I remember when that
Yeah.
was my assumption. And, they're not in that space where they're having that time to do that introspection, like
Hmm.
they're not taking that time. So yes,
Yeah.
I completely agree with that you spoke to my soul right there.
But yeah, I definitely, because even if you think about, because there were things that happened to me that weren't in my control. They just were like random, like, wow, like I can't believe this just happened. Like, dang,
Hmm.
this just happened too. Like, God, like why do stuff be with random stuff, like why do stuff keep happening? And you know what I'm saying? And it's like you gotta align yourself and just let me know like something ain't right in my space. You know what I'm saying? Something is not right in my personal environment, in my personal being, for me to be attracting all of this energy,
Hmm.
attracting all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Even decisions that I made myself, I'm like, you thinking you making good decisions and you keep coming out with these crazy outcomes.
Oh
Why are
yes.
you what's going on? What's
Glory.
going on? You
Amen.
need to sit down and you need to talk to yourself and you need to figure it out because something ain't adding up. The math ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Your heart may
Hmm.
be in the right place, but girl, your math is all wrong.
Hmm. Right. Yes,
You
yes,
know
yes,
how you got
yes.
all the work right and you miss one thing and your answer is
And you
wrong?
still got right. The answer is still wrong. Right. Yes.
That's really what it
Ugh,
be feeling like sometimes. Like it's
that
like, come on,
is.
like why are you making these decisions? So it was really just about me being real with myself and asking myself, like looking at situations where I felt like I was done wrong and ask myself, okay, how did you even end up in this space to begin with? How are
Mm-hmm.
you surrounding yourself with these types of people to begin with?
Mm.
And you saw the signs because we no matter what we
You
tell
always see
ourselves,
them.
we
No, you
always
always
see
see
it, we
them. You're
always
absolutely
know.
right. You
Let me
always
tell you
know.
something.
You're
There's
lying to
one
yourself if
person
you
in
say
my
you
life
don't.
that people think that, oh, I just didn't know that person. No, I knew that person like the back of my hand. I knew exactly who I was dealing with, and I dealt
Mm-hmm.
with him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference.
Ditto.
And it's like,
Yes.
okay, so why would you do that though? So, you got to be real with yourself. You can't always point the finger at the other person because it's like, what you doing over there with that other person?
Mm-hmm. And it for
Eh.
me, it looks like you have to take that moment to recognize when you're self-sabotaging.
Mhm.
Like, because we do self-sabotage, like, and that's the truth of it. And if you
Yep.
can't admit to the fact that you self-sabotage, then you're just not there yet.
Yep.
You got to keep doing the work, honey. You're getting there, but you're not there yet. Like, and I think I completely agree with what you just said, because there are moments when I look at, like, and I'm so proud. I hate to use the word proud, but I'm getting very proud of how I react to situations now because I have a sharp tongue and I'm really quick witted sometimes. And sometimes I say stuff and it comes jugular. Like that's the first thing that I say. And I don't always mean for that to be my reaction. And so I just feel so blessed to be in a position now that I think before I react. And many times I think before I speak. I'm getting so much better about it. And I make a conscientious choice. I make a conscious effort to make sure that what I say, instead of speaking death onto somebody, I speak life onto them if I can help it. Or if they need to be read, I will read them. But I'll think about it before I do it. And I just make,
Think about
like
how hard I'm gonna read
I
you.
take that beat. Like, I think that's one of another big lesson I
I'm not gonna
learned this
cut
year.
you at your knees,
Right.
but I'm definitely gonna come
I'm
close.
going to read you, but like I'm going to take a beat and make sure that as I read you, I do it
You
in a
get
way.
something from this.
You get some, right. I'm teaching you a lesson too. Like, because I know the people at my job just be like, Jay just read me again. And I just be like, look, I'm sorry, but you learned. And so, so yes. Oh yes, this is getting so good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a super quick break, and we're gonna come back right after this break, and we're just gonna continue this chat. We're just gonna keep it going. We're just gonna keep this thing going, because this is getting good. So, again, thank you for tuning in to the 50 Lamb Chronicles. We'll be right back after this break. So welcome back, 50 Lamb fam. Here we are. Back at it. Okay, so it sounded like I was about to rap. Okay, so we were talking about Kobe a minute ago, and something came to mind. And I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if we even ever talked about this, but did you see the Gayle King interview with Lisa Leslie right after that?
Yes.
How do you feel about how the things transpired? Do you want to tell the people how the things transpired after the interview or because of the interview, or do you want me to? Because it got a little spicy there.
It got did get spicy.
It got a little bumpy.
It was I could give my opinion on it.
Okay. So, I'll give a quick rundown on what happened, and then I want to hear what you've got to say on this, because I really want to hear a strong, intelligent Black woman's perspective. I've heard a lot of people talk out of the side of their neck on this, and I'm really interested in what you have to say. So, shortly after Kobe Bryant's tragic death, Gayle King did an interview with Lisa Leslie, who was a close friend of his and also, WNBA legend. And in the interview, the interview was going well, apparently, but she had a moment where she brought up the court case and the charges that were against him. And she asked Lisa Leslie, did she believe that was going to be a major part of his, legacy after his death, or something to that effect, something to do with his legacy. And did that moment in particular, tarnish his legacy, or what did she think? And Black Twitter ate Gayle King
ate her up.
Ate her up. And I would say to a certain degree they had a right to, because I do believe that I get journalism and asking the questions that people are afraid to ask, or going there or being edgy. I get it, but by the same token, there's a certain level of tact, there's a certain level of like what it means to be a proper human being, and you're talking about someone who's lost a friend, and when you could have been speaking the positive things of his legacy, the one thing that you want to highlight is the major spot that was not necessarily in the most positive light, that he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was acquitted of. The charges were dropped, right? The charges were dropped.
That one is, I don't want to say anything incorrect, but I think allegedly, like,
it was,
I don't know if it was like there was like a deal made,
a settlement to kind of thing, something. Okay, something like that. We
the
don't
whole
know, but
situation in itself, because when I went back and heard the story of it, I don't know. That's why I'm like, I don't want to I
I
don't
don't,
really
yeah,
know
I
the
don't,
facts on that.
but what I will say is that the degree to which, because it wasn't even that she just like asked one question, it was the way in which she
Hmm.
kind of was, I don't want to say she was badgering, but she was borderline badgering her about the topic. So after Black Twitter's reaction, there were a lot of celebrities to speak out. And in particular, Uncle Snoop
Hmm.
showed his ass. He went off. He went on a tirade,
Cuss her
and
out.
he
Call it
cussed
what it
her
is.
out.
He
Like
cussed her out.
he called her everything but a child of God,
Ooh.
everything but a child of God. And
Hmm.
I think at some point in his monologue, he said something like, "We coming for you," something like that. It was something to that degree. And there was a lot of like he received a lot of, you know, praise in some degree and a lot of criticism in another. So
Hmm.
what I want is your perspective as a Black woman. Like, what was that like? The whole situation for
Um.
what was, yeah, speak to the
Okay.
people.
So yes, I will say yes. They did call journalism. They can call journalism. That's what they can call it. She was not the first to report on it. There were actually other news outlets. I'll say I'm not
Mhm.
going to even go. There were other news outlets that did speak on it. However, there are a couple of reasons why I didn't specifically need to hear it from Gail.
Mhm.
Starting with the fact that the hypocrisy of you to feel the need to ask Leslie when we should be asking you how you feel about your friend who is still alive,
Hello.
who was
Hello.
doing touchy, creepy things that you have
Mm.
yet to speak about, you or your
Have yet to
homegirl.
speak on. Right.
So I don't even know why you felt like you should be the leader, the pioneer of this topic, sis. Because we should be asking you the same thing. How do you feel finding out about your friend, sweetie? Did
uh.
you discuss that? Are we interviewing you? I'm sorry. And I also feel like it was just it was just in poor taste and in poor
Mhm.
timing and to the
Mhm.
wrong person.
And to the wrong person.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you are speaking to his friend who is grieving because it wasn't that long. It wasn't that
It
long of
was
a.
no, it was not long after. It was
You know
maybe
what
a
I
week or two.
mean?
It was not long after at
You
all.
are speaking to someone who is grieving the loss of a friend, and this is not. And my thing is like it's not even about asking the questions because who she was asking the question for, I don't know. I still don't know. I don't know any Black person that was asking that.
Right. Who was even
Let's,
interested in, come on
but
now.
I will say, it not bringing it up at all would have been a better route to go because it's not discrediting the victim to not bring that up. That has nothing, you
Absolutely.
know what I mean? It's not discrediting the victim to not bring it up
Hmm.
when that is something. And the only reason why for me I give a slight leeway is because when I can visibly see somebody has changed, you
Hmm.
ain't heard no tea, no nothing about nobody. They have literally
Right.
watched them change their life and become a different person. You've watched how
Completely
they
different person.
mentor into other people and how they've completely changed. That's what people mean when they say people can change. That's
Hmm.
what that means. To visibly see somebody change their whole life. And I respect that enough to not bring that up about somebody who I see has visibly changed. I could understand if it was still a current thing that we had been hearing or dealing with. This is, we ain't heard about it since. And how long ago was that? Because I was a kid.
It was right. It was a very long out, like it was a long time ago,
You know
like
what I
over
mean?
2 years.
And you haven't heard, what have you heard since? Nothing. So it's
Nothing.
not like it was a relevant topic.
Hmm.
It was just something you chose to ask because as a journalist, you knew it'd be spicy. But what you
And
didn't
that's my
expect
thing.
was to get ate up. That's what you
The
didn't count on.
timing, the timing was so just like you
Oh,
said,
wait.
it was in poor taste.
And before I go, let me get to Uncle Snoop. Now, Uncle Snoop,
Oh, yes.
because I didn't get to Uncle Snoop. Now, Uncle Snoop. Now, as far as the whole threat thing, when I first heard it, I didn't take it as him saying like we like, oh, all my gang member
Right.
friends, like we about to come. Like I didn't take it as that. I
Yeah.
took it as him saying like we like black folks about to, you know what type of time we
Mm-hmm.
coming on. We not letting you
Mm-hmm.
sleep. We finna Chrisette Michelle you is what we about to do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was thinking. He was coming from
Mm-hmm.
a place of that. Granted, though, Snoop, you can't be talking to that old lady like that. You gotta read
You
her nicely,
cannot.
like I just did.
Right.
You can't be
Uh,
calling her out her name, Uncle Snoop. You can't do
uh,
that.
it
As much
was
as we
so
might want
bad.
to, you can't be the
As
one to
much
do
as you,
that.
right, you can't do that. It
You
was,
can't
oh
be the
my
one to do
goodness.
that, Uncle Snoop, man.
It
Come
was
on
bad.
now. That's a
It was bad.
You just gotta read her, politely, and then we ignore her. We shun her.
That's what should have happened. Is like if he wanted to react in such an emotional way, it should have been like more of a let's boycott her type of thing. Like not a like oh, because the names he called her. Like,
Oh,
oh my
he ate
goodness.
her
It
up.
was
Granted,
he ate
he
her
said
up.
what a lot of people were thinking, but there's a reason that people was just thinking it.
Thinking it. We weren't saying, oh my goodness, yes. So yeah, I don't know. That came to mind. So I was glad we got to talk about that a little bit because that was a pretty big hot topic of the year. It was a moment that I would even say like one of our pretty big social media controversies where they were really showing out on Black Twitter and Twitter nonetheless. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to ask you this, like, who do you think, because I mean, we've talked a little of the more serious, introspective, we've gone deep, we've shared with the people the emotionals, you know, but let's talk a little bit about some pop culture and
Okay.
a little bit about some of the peoples and some of the things that they did this year. So who do you think had a good year? Like, who do you think had the best year? Like, if you had to give like 5 names of people who you think had good years, is there anybody you can think of, like,
Mm.
or even companies, not even just people or celebrities, even companies or brands? Because I mean, I gotta say it,
I'm
Zoom
sure
probably
I
had their
would
best
say
year.
I'm sure Disney is having an amazing year.
Disney,
I'm sure
yeah, Disney's had a
Sony's
good
having
year.
a great year right now.
Hmm.
Apple has been having a great year.
Netflix
Netflix has
and
been
obviously
also raising the
Amazon,
prices.
right?
Amazon has had
Steadily
an astounding year.
astounding.
I'm trying to think of like people that I've seen like
And while you think of that, I just have to say it's so weird. Have you seen all of the new subsidiaries of Amazon that have been popping up? There's like Amazon Pharmacy. There's like Amazon Cars now.
yes,
Like when did Amazon have the capability for us to buy a car on the app?
they do now.
They do now. It's crazy.
People used
See,
to buy
that's what
cars on
happened.
eBay.
Yeah, I mean, but that was like Russian roulette. Like you really,
Very much.
you, you really trying it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when I used to bid on things, I'm like, why am I doing this? This is probably not even a real item. Like, I'm probably gonna get a cardboard cutout of whatever it is I'm bidding on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Very much.
oh my goodness.
You got to get to the
Um,
stuff that say buy it now.
right. That's what I used to do. I was like, we're not doing
I
this.
ain't
It got to the
bidding.
point I was like, we just gonna
Yeah,
buy
I
it.
just
We
buy
ain't got
it.
time for that. I'll say, Beyonce, I mean, she usually has a good year. She had a good year this year. I mean, I can't think of any bad years, probably besides the year Jay-Z cheated. That was probably a bad year for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
I'm
she
trying
had
to
a pretty good year.
think who dropped music that's having a pretty good year.
Um,
You see how we can't think of
Brandy.
it? Oh, Brandy. Yeah.
Brandy's had a good year. Chloe and
Brandy
Halle.
has. They have had a good year.
Meg the Stallion has had a good year.
She has. Meg Thee
She
Stallion has had
has
an interesting year.
has had a A very interesting. Look, I put her on my good year and bad year list because I was like,
Like,
she
girl,
didn't have it all.
you
Because even her current controversy, like that's
she got me
oh
doing the Mr.
child,
Krabs meme, like
right? Like what's like oh, I'm over here really trying to figure out what's going on with her. But Doja Cat, another person who's had a good and bad year.
sure
Um,
she has.
I mean, she's been rocking it out on the charts. She and Meg both getting their number ones, their first number ones this year.
LeBron
Um,
James had a great year.
LeBron James did have a great
LeBron James,
year.
and shout out to LeBron for being one of the people in the forefront, okay, speaking out and standing up,
Yes.
okay?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's how
Absolutely.
it's supposed to be done the first
That's how
time.
it's supposed to be done. Mm, mm.
You know who that was shade
Um,
for? The previous king. Who just had a documentary?
oh, oh,
The first
yeah,
time.
you're right. The first time. No, absolutely. Still waiting on a comment. No, he finally said something, but
Yeah.
whatever. It's
So shout out to
it's
LeBron
just too
James.
little too
And
late.
then on
Look.
top of that, for them to get a ring too, shout out to them.
hmm and you know who else had a good year charts wise was Weekend. Weekend always has
Mm-hmm.
a number one hit, a number one album. Even though he didn't get number one
Right.
Grammy noms, like they definitely they're tripping over there.
Tiana
Tripping.
Taylor had a good year.
Tiana Taylor did have a good year, even though she also is retiring this year.
Right. But she
This is
produced
retirement
some
year.
dope projects, her and the aunties.
I feel like Tiana always just puts out
Mm-hmm.
spectacular material. Like she really does, and it just really hurts. It hurts. Uh, what about TV?
Rihanna. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes. No,
I'm sorry. I
absolutely.
had to
Let's
get
get
Mother
on.
in there.
Let's get
Rihanna,
on Rihanna. Like we got to.
although she has not done yet what we have
We're still
asked of
waiting on
you
it.
for the last 62 years, she has done everything else. Okay. Rihanna has had a great year,
Yes, she
and
has done
she's talking about a
everything else.
cookbook now, child. She got the skincare on lock. She got the makeup on lock. She got the clothes on lock. She just on
hmm
lock. Whatever you
Let
need,
me
she
tell
got.
you,
Okay, Rihanna is the Walmart. Okay.
she is, and you know, like I was watching an interview of hers this past year because I've studied her a lot this past year. Just she's just one of those muggles who is just in like super inspiring and super
hmm
interesting just to watch like her journey and the way her mind works. Even how she has like really restructured what a fashion show is. If you've
Who
never
have
seen
we
a
seen do
Savage
this though?
Fenty
What
show,
star have you ever seen do something like that with their career? Like,
and I'll tell you the closest one who was about to do this because I was telling someone this the other week, and you got to follow me for a minute because you might not see it at first, but then you're gonna be like,
okay.
oh, okay. Selena, let me tell you why. Selena was on her way to
Mhm.
being what Rihanna is doing now
Mhm.
because she had the fashion line, she had the nail boutiques, and she was getting into like the cosmetic realm.
Mhm.
She had of course, the music. She was rocking out with the music. She was about to do the crossover album and the American tour. Like she was really about to be on that stage. Like she was about to do it like that. But I think that's the only time. Like we've seen other celebrities come in and be, dabble in cosmetics or dabble in,
Yeah, and it's never on
apparel,
this level though.
and it's
Everything she has
never been on
dropped,
this level. Everything.
everything.
That's who's had the. I will
She
say
said,
that's
"You
who's
know
had
what? Here's some
the best
makeup.
year for
Oh, you
sure.
got all this makeup? Here's some skincare. Oh,
Here's
what you
some
need? A bra
skincare.
and some panties? Got you.
I
What's
got you.
up?"
And then like the first Black woman to be a part of a luxury house, like that is
Mhm.
crazy. Like her brand Fenty, the Fenty fashion brand,
Yep.
is a luxury line. And if you've never checked out those clothes, now look, I can't afford them yet, but like if you've never checked out what she's creating through that luxury line, y'all gotta check her out on IG because it is amazing. Like the
Yeah.
stuff is super futuristic. It's like next level fashion. Like she's got that eye that's like futuristic. She's definitely
And
ahead of the
then
time.
not only is she just dropping this stuff, it's literally coming out and being better than everything else.
than everything
Her
else.
makeup is literally better. Her skincare is literally better. Her bra and panty sets are literally better. Her luxury line is literally better. They're better. That's the
I would have
real
to
shade.
say Fenty definitely is like my brand of the year because I've experimented a lot with her products. I love her brand, period. Like she's got amazing marketing, amazing packaging, and
Even
I
the
bought the
slides was
whole
better.
like I mean, even the way that she brands herself and how she puts out videos about like what the products are meant to do and how she
Hmm.
promotes it. I was on the I feel a little exclusive. I was on the VIP list for people to pre-order the skincare line. So we got to get it like 3 days before it launched. Child, let me tell you, that skincare came in and I was using it, and I have never had a sunscreen in my life that does what hers does. Like it is literally one of the best moisturizing SPF. Like it's one of the best I've ever used in my life. It everything smells amazing. And for those of you who are not big into fragrance in your cosmetics, I apologize because this is definitely fragranced. But the ingredients that she used, like Barbados cherry and the melon from like her homeland, like the stuff that she was using, it
Hmm.
smells like the islands, and the products feel amazing. And my skin loved it. If you got oily or combination skin, it's definitely a product for you. It's definitely a product for you.
Come on for the
Mm.
Navy. Yay.
Yes. So Rihanna definitely had a good year. I would even say on the Caucasian side of things, um, Lady Gaga, my spirit animal had a great year. I'm always living for what sis puts out. She's always putting out something. And she had like her makeup brand that came out was not great at first.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say it because we're not lying to the people, but
We're not lying.
she's been getting she's been getting some things on point, and it's like her brand is really turning around. You can tell she has a hand in it, which I love. She's just not one of those, celebrities who creates a brand and just like lets the people make it and just has her name on it.
Hmm.
Like that clan of whatever. We're gonna leave them alone. We're not doing it today. But she like you can tell she has her hand in it and she's really trying to do better. But then she dropped this album, and her album it hit. I want to say her album hit number 1, but she definitely had 2 number 1s off of that album. And I'm proud. I live
Yeah.
for it. The album sounded really good. It definitely, for those of you who've never really listened to her, I would just say go back and listen to her lyrics because the way that she writes like an absolute genius. Like the writing double, triple entendres, like she does things where she goes into next level, like really making you think with her lyrics. And when you understand what she's saying and the concepts that she's playing with, this album that she just put out was amazing. And
Yeah.
from what she's making it seem like it's going to be some MCU type of universe thing for the rest of her career. So that's going to be pretty cool.
I have
Yes, so I
two.
had to. Oh, what you got?
So one, I have to definitely shout out Big Sean. Big Sean has had an
Yes,
amazing
Big
year. He put
Sean.
out an amazing album. People don't really mention his name when they talk about like the J. Cole's and the Drakes and that, but Big Sean is with it. And like Big Sean is dope. He puts out great music and he's dope. He's actually talking about something, so that's always great to listen to. But he's a
Right.
dope rapper, and people don't really give him the love he should. And then on a different note, I did want to shout out All Def. There's like a whole All Def crew. Because I guess like T.I. and some other people bought into All Def Digital after like Russell Simmons left, and it was like a whole thing or whatever. And
Hmm.
so they brought it back, and Kev on stage, and there's Kev on stage, and like they have like a squad. There's like a whole squad of them that were originals, and they have really took over like the YouTube
They
comedian
have.
platform.
Yes, they absolutely
They
have.
have literally, and the thing is, a lot of people when they were starting out were like, "Oh, those are just internet guys." The
Mm-hmm.
internet guys is winning now because they know what to do
Mm-hmm.
during this pandemic. They can't get on stage, but
Mm-hmm.
they still putting out content. They still getting on streams. They still got podcasts. They still putting up skits
Absolutely.
and stuff. So I think it's super dope. And Kevin on Stage just launched his own app and just got his own studio to actually put out his
Yes,
own
Kev.
black, and it's for black content. It's literally just for black content, and he's
That's what I'm
creating
talking
all his
about.
own stuff and all his own sketches and stuff. So that's super dope. They've been doing the Keep Your Distance comedy, where like every week
Mm-hmm.
they did a comedy show, but it was like through live stream or whatever, but it was set up so dope to where it was like you were actually watching like on Netflix somebody's comedy sketch. It was super dope. But
Ah,
and it's like nobody's ever done anything like that before. So shout out to that whole crew over there. They dipping and
yes.
doing it. That's some black excellence. And the fact that they all like bigging each other up, they all do each other
Mm-hmm.
stuff on each other platforms is even better because they not stingy with it. You know what I'm saying? They not
Exactly.
hating on each other. It's like you see all these black men coming
Mm-hmm.
together to create and lift up, and you got black female comedians, a bunch of them on there. It's dope to see.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that because I've been watching Kev on Stage for like maybe 3, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched him a lot on YouTube because he just cracks me up. Like,
Yeah.
having a black Christian upbringing, it just seems like my upbringing and his are pretty similar. So a lot of the jokes he cracks, I'm like, yes, story of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please get these people together. Just his content cracks me up. So absolutely. Yeah. That makes me really happy to hear because I even saw him on like it was like a nationally syndicated commercial. It was like a big commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, that is Kev on Stage. I was like, look at Kev on Stage on the
Yeah, they
TV.
doing it. They
Like,
doing it.
I see you. And it just made me feel good. So yes, I love hearing that.
And it's crazy because they had just went on tour when it happened. So they lost out on all that tour money. And they like, bro, like what we gonna do? Like we can't go nowhere. We can't, you know what I'm saying? But they all started streaming, and they got everybody got a lot of podcasts that are super dope now. And the one of the guys to hear does this thing zooming with the homies.
hmm
Super, like when I tell you all different types of people be on there, but I've watched a lot of them and they be so funny. It's literally just like a lot of different comedians just kicking it, chilling, and it's hilarious. Like, so I love seeing black people do stuff like that.
Yes. Ooh, okay.
Mhm.
So there were some good movies to come out this year too. I mean, I didn't. A lot of what I did was watching things I'd already seen, or I was watching a ton of shows. Like I have a
Mhm.
bunch of shows.
Yeah.
But movies wise, I do have to start by saying Beyonce's Black is King. Did you get a chance to see that?
I still haven't seen the whole thing.
So what I'll say is it was beautiful.
What I've seen is
Absolutely
beautiful.
it was absolutely beautiful. Like I was like, this is gorgeous. It was one of the most beautiful, like I guess you'd call it a visual album type of thing.
Mhm.
But it was a beautiful piece that was it was recorded in different parts of the continent of Africa. Keep in mind, people, I'm saying the continent of Africa. Africa is not a country, and
Every
black is
country
not
in
a
Africa
race
except one.
outside. Right, like the continent of Africa. So they were in multiple countries in the continent of
Yes.
Africa. And I don't know, it blows my
Except
mind
one.
because, right. um,
Oh
so
man.
what I loved about it is that it was just absolutely beautiful. And then her using that album that she'd curated, The Gift, that was inspired by The Lion King. It was a really nice project.
Power is
And
Lori's favorite. She
uh, I
loves,
love My Power. It's one of my
like, she
favorites. Like,
loves.
yes, it's a good one. And it's such a good message. Like that is a really good message. So,
Hmm.
when I see her, I'm gonna have to play brown skin girl. I'm gonna have to get her on the brown skin girl gang. Um, Also, did you see the Clark sisters movie?
I have not seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, it
I
is
haven't seen it yet.
good.
I know.
It
I
is
oh,
good.
trust me. I
Ugh.
I know what should be in the movie, so I'm excited to
Hmm.
see the movie.
It is messy,
Oh,
but
I
it
know
is
it is.
good. So
Why
Lifetime,
listen, why are church
yeah,
families always so
so dramatic
and
and so
dramatic?
messy. It's Greenleaf did not make it any easier.
I
Like
hate that it's gone,
so.
but
Did you know they're doing a spinoff?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, so they're gonna do a spinoff with Lady May. I don't know what it's gonna look like,
Okay, Lady May.
but
Lady May better
because
get her
people were
church.
so because the people were so mad, they're like, okay, we're gonna give y'all a spinoff. Like they were just like, all right, we get it. We're gonna give y'all a spinoff. So yeah,
Yeah.
she confirmed, if I'm not mistaken, Lynn Whitfield's gonna get a spinoff.
Come on,
But
Lee.
okay, the Clark sisters movie. Let me just say,
Where
I'm not
do I
gonna ruin the
watch
movie
it?
for you. It's on Lifetime. It's a Lifetime
Okay.
original movie. Let me just say, and I'm not gonna ruin it for you. The cast, spectacular. They sang every song.
Mm-hmm.
They learned the Clark sister voice. I mean, they got the style together. They and Kiera Clark, Kiera Sheard,
Sheared.
Kiki Sheard. Look, I'm over here thinking about Karen, her mom. Karen Clark Sheard is her mom. She played her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks so much like her. It's just crazy. She was perfect, obviously, for the role. But the movie is good. There were of course there was a little drama coming because of the way the movie was because it was a little, I would say that there might have been a little colorism happening in the film, maybe just a tad, a little touch, because the
Not
character who
surprised.
plays the character who plays Denise just happens to be much darker than the rest of the cast. It's the girl Raven. I can't remember her last name, but she was on Being Mary Jane. Um, she played
She played
Gabrielle's
Denise.
niece,
Mm-hmm.
Denise. I think that's her. I think that's her. Raven's son, I can't remember her last name, but her. And she plays Denise, and she kills it. I mean, kills it vocally. And I'm not taking anything away from her as the actress because she was amazing. She turned the role
You
out
sure
because
it's her or not Amber Riley?
oh, it's not Amber Riley. No,
Oh,
it's not Amber. They
I ain't
look
know that
alike.
girl could sing.
I didn't either. I didn't either. That's why I was surprised because at first I was like, "Is that Amber?" And I'm like, "No, that's not Amber. That's Raven."
Because I'm
Because
like, maybe
Amber
he got
Raven
them
and
mixed
Gabourey
up.
always get mixed up for each other. Gabourey said it in her book that her Raven and Amber always get mixed up, and they be asking Gabourey to sing, and she's like, "I'm not Amber Riley. Like I don't sing. Like get out of my face." Um, but no, yeah, Raven sings, and I didn't know that, and so she played Denise, and Denise was not darker than her sisters, not at all. They were all like the same skin tone for real. They were all
Mm-hmm.
about the same like honey caramel, like they were
Yeah.
all of that. Um, and Raven is my complexion, like so. Well, when you've
Somebody
got,
tried
and
it.
for those who don't know, like I'm like a dark chocolate, like um, so Raven. She killed the role, but it did look a little bit like colorism on the outside. And then even the family, their reaction to how Denise was portrayed, or Denise's side of the family, their reaction to how Denise was portrayed was not really positive. They really didn't have the best perception or reaction to the film. So
Mm-hmm.
I still think it was a great film. It really made me realize how much the Clark sisters have inspired me as a vocalist. I
Yeah.
didn't realize it until I watched the film, and I was like, dang, I've been singing all these songs my whole life. And it's the reason I do this and the reason that and that and that. And I'm like, dang, like y'all have been there the whole way, like the
Them
whole
Clark
way.
sisters be singing down.
They be singing down, and the harmonies, like, and even like their mom, Maddie Moss Clark, like the woman who plays her, I always mess up her name, but it begins with an A. Um, but she kills it as their mom, and even they even said at one point, like the sisters, the real sisters, cried when they saw her dressed up as their mom and acting as their mom, because they're like, she's got it spot on, like
Mm-hmm.
she's our mom right now. Like she has got it. And so for her to play Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, I got to put the respect on the name for them to play her, because she is honestly, for those who out there who know a little bit about music, and especially gospel music, now that the gospel choir song is done in 4-part harmony, it was not done in 4-part harmony before Dr. Maddie Moss Clark.
Come on.
She is the one who brought that which was done traditionally in classical music over to the Black music realm and made it a
Yes.
choir thing and brought on the actual vocal control and technique of Black choir. So she is really the mother of the modern Black choir. So y'all need to put some respect on her
Come on,
name.
lesson.
Right. And then, another lesson, just a little sub lesson, is Twinkie Clark is the creator of the Clark sound. So any Clark sister who has had success, her voice was trained and tuned and fine-tuned by Twinkie Clark. She was the
Yes.
mastermind of the Clark sisters sound. So she created their sound, she created their harmony, she assigned the roles, she wrote the lyrics. They later, Dorinda and Karen later wrote, but she wrote the lyrics. She constructed and composed. And so make sure y'all put some respect on Twinkie, because the respect's not on her name like it should be. And everybody be acting like Karen is everything, and Karen is everything. But Karen is a baby Twinkie. Remember that. Remember that, people. Just a little lesson on the Clark sisters. But were there any good movies you saw like that came out in 2020, or any that you can think of?
I don't even know if I watched anything that actually came out in I don't even know what came out.
I didn't see
Like,
Birds of Prey, and I wish I had, because
I
I was
did see Birds of
living.
Prey
So
because
how was Birds of Prey? Because I
I
didn't see
am
it.
a Harley Quinn girl.
Harley, you're a Harley Quinn girl, obviously.
But yeah, Birds of Prey, it was good. It wasn't. I didn't know what to expect going into it, because I didn't know what it was really supposed to be about. But I did like it. I did enjoy it, and it was good. I saw it at the drive-in before everything happened.
Drive-ins should have really been making a lot of money during COVID, and I just have to be
I'm
honest.
sure
They should have.
were.
I don't know if they were, because I feel like I don't know, because we don't have one here. I was saying it would have been a great idea here because they would have made a lot of money.
It'd be a great idea everywhere.
Everywhere, like every city could have had a little drive-in. That could have been boosting the economy.
If I had me a little piece of land, I would have had me a drive-in.
Look, bring your own snacks. You stay in your car. You tune into the radio. You mind your business. You do not get out of the car. You risk being shot. There it is. Boom. That's how we keep everybody safe. So I saw Tenet. I don't know if you've heard about Tenet.
I've really been in a bubble. I see now, because I can't think of a movie for the life of me.
It's really good. I'm not gonna spill anything
and
about
it. Just came out.
Have you seen Soul?
I fell asleep. I was tired.
So I watched Soul. It was good. It was a cute little family movie. It was good. Soul was good. I liked Soul.
What I saw of it was good.
Yeah, they had a good cast. They had a really good cast. Like Jamie Foxx. Yeah. Angela Bassett was in it. Who else? Felicia Rashad played his mom.
Yeah, she did.
So it was a good cast. Tina Fey was 22, so it was good. It was good. I liked Soul. And for those of you, I'm not going to say anything about Tenet besides it was directed by Christopher Nolan, the same guy who directed Inception. And when I tell you it goes there, it goes there. It's good if you like an action film, like something that's action adventure that makes you think.
Part 2 Inception.
This feels like part 2 Inception, honestly. Like Tenet would give you your life, because it's one of those movies where you start seeing things, you be like, hang on, I know what's gonna happen. Like I had this prediction like mid-film. I was like, I bet you. And I was watching it with my cousin. I turned and I said, I bet you such and such is gonna happen and such and such. And then like later on in the movie, he was like, you were right. And I was like, it just felt right in my soul. My spirit told me, because the movie just makes you think. So yes. So okay, this is what we're gonna do super quick, guys. We're gonna take another quick break, and we're gonna come right back, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that were on TV that we was watching during this good old pandemic and here in 2020, as we continue our year in review here on the